Defence is something we don't often talk about, but if you think about Western Australia as typically being known as a mining state, well, the country is spending $150 billion plus on defence in WA, in industry. That's significant.
We are reaching a point where we used to talk about this happening. I'm quite gobsmacked that I'm in front of you discussing this subject while we have been preparing about this and talking about this as an industry for the last decade.
Building ships is an incredibly big deal.
It is.
They're massive pieces of infrastructure, big dollar values attached, and the opportunities even locally flow downstream.
100%.
So why don't we even know about it? If you're a business looking to get into the defence industry and wonder how you would do it, what's going on, what are the opportunities, come and have a listen to this. I've invited Fred Bkamdin in, who understands what's going on in the defence industry, what's taken place, the contracts that are in play right now, and what's going to happen in the future. He'll give you an understanding of what that looks like and what you need to do if you want to get involved. Come and have a listen.
In that case, I'll be funny, and I'm going to move this bottle because it's in my... I'm a bit of a Sheldon, so...
There's a great benefit to being a bit of a Sheldon.
Yeah, that helps.
It's great to talk to the Sheldon of defence because
Yeah. My alter ego.
what I'd glean from that
Yeah.
as a stereotype
Yeah.
is we're going to get an unfiltered,
Yeah.
very factual view
Yeah.
of how you see the defence world. And of course, it's your opinion.
Of course.
But,
And-
but
and-
that's what we're asking for.
And my alter ego is James Bond. So
All right. Well, that's a very funny, almost slightly nerdy thing,
I know.
if you don't mind me saying so.
larger than life.
Most of us have a bit of nerdiness, and if you dig behind it, we all love superheroes.
Larger than life.
Yeah.
Larger than life. That's the word. Meaning, when people come out of a movie and they say, "Oh, it was too long and it had no storyline," I said, we have enough story happening in our normal world. Do you really want that, or you want larger than life? I much go larger than life. So that's me. I want my money's worth. I want like 3 hours of entertainment, larger than life.
I love it. All right.
Rocky doke.
All right.
Rock and roll.
Unpack
10 o'clock.
state of defence for me. Where we're at, not in terms of what's happening in defence and in the world.
Sure.
So I'm talking about the defence industry in Australia. What does that look like? And then if we can narrow in on WA to say what's happening here, that'd be really useful.
Look, won't dwell too much on myself, but Fred Bkamdin. I'm the National Business Manager for Marine and Defence. I look after the business for defence and marine commercial for energy power systems. The word energy power system, so basically in the energy industry. Energy power systems as such is the dealer for Australia, for Caterpillar. Caterpillar turned 100 years this year, and very many people don't know that in Australia we have the largest naval footprint as far as Caterpillar marine equipment is concerned in the defence industry. So the reason I'm sharing with you...
in the world?
In the Australian industry.
Yeah, okay.
Yeah, in the Australian maritime industry, we have a large footprint. And I will mention a few things on that to you a bit later. But that's my day job, and I've been with the Yellow banner for the last 16 years. And very proud of the brand and what I bring to the table for the company. I'm an ex-mariner by trade. I've sailed on board ships, large oil and gas vessels, ultra-large crude carriers, bulk carriers, oil tankers. Sailed for 6 to 7 years, migrated in 2007. Been with Caterpillar for 16 years, energy power systems. In the last 5 years, I embarked on the journey with the defense world as far as promoting Caterpillar equipment and energy power systems, and that's where my journey started. However, I've been connected to the defense industry for more than a decade now, delivering projects and programs for energy power systems. I do represent Australian Industry Defence Network as a state president, and Australian Industry Defence Network is a national body. It's a national peak body, which is the voice of the primes and the small to medium enterprise SMEs. I'll be using quite a few acronyms, Hanif, so just be prepared for that.
I'll make fun of you
Absolutely.
at the right times.
Absolutely,
don't worry.
yeah. So, AIDEN, as we call it, is a national peak body, and every state has a chapter. I represent the WS state as a president, and I have a very able and knowledgeable council of 7 at the moment, and it's going very well. It's fairly interactive with the industry, and we get very many things done. We are part of the 4 pillars of WA maritime defense industry, if I may. That is the Defense West, AIDEN, ourselves, Henderson Alliance, and ODIS, Office of Defense Industry Support. All of us put together form the 4 pillars of WA defense industry, and kind of the voice of the primes and the SMEs, and making sure there's collaboration between government, primes, and the SMEs. What's happening as far as Australian industry defense is concerned overall? Lots and lots. I think
Lots isn't an acronym, isn't it?
No.
Just checking.
I'll dwell on it and let you know.
Yeah,
if I can come up with one, I'll surely mention it. Yeah. Look, let me unpack this from a national perspective first. We are fairly in a high tensed geopolitical environment as we speak. There's a lot of the world defense situation is fairly fragmented in a multipolar, multipolar would be the right word, I suppose, where there's tensions in the Indo-Pacific, which Australia, along with the AUKUS partners, and the AUKUS is basically the alliance between Australia, UK, and America, have to deal with in the Indo-Pacific. So China, Australia tensions in the Indo-Pacific, and of course the Middle East, where we have the ongoing situation, as we know, as it unfolds every day, and it's ever evolving. So, we are reaching a point where we used to talk about this happening. I'm quite gobsmacked that I'm in front of you discussing this subject while we have been preparing about this and talking about this as an industry for the last decade. And I've been part of the journey. Things in defense don't happen in a rush. They need planning, they need patience, they need a lot of guidance, they need a lot of support from the government, and there is a lot of bipartisan support as far as governments are concerned, parties are concerned. And yeah, there's a lot of moving parts. Why it takes a while? Because it's complex. It's to do with the safety and security of the country. And for me, it's very important to put nation before business, and business before any other sort of, requirements as far as we serve. Everybody in the defense industry serves the country in some shape or form. One should take pride in that, I think, and I certainly do. And I keep telling people to understand that although we are not defending our country physically, we are definitely a very important moving object and a part of the fabric of defense. When you say defense industry, it's a consortium between the primes. When I say primes, is the large shipbuilders and the decision makers, whose end customer is the Commonwealth of Australia and the Navy or the Army or the Air Force. And then, of course, the primes have to work very closely with the Tier 1 and Tier 2 SMEs, small to medium enterprise. I happen to be one of the Tier 1 SMEs as far as Navy is concerned.
So for people who don't know, let me break this down and correct me if I'm wrong.
Sure.
You have the government.
Yep.
Who's in charge of defence generally.
Yes.
Planning, strategic development. and capital investment, so buying new stuff.
100%.
They'll contract with the primes. So the primes take the contract with the government to deliver on a bunch of equipment. The primes can't do it on their own. Some of it's mandated in their contracts. They must use some Tier 1 and Tier 2 SMEs. And the Tier 1s and Tier 2s also subcontract further down the chain. So it's all the way down, right? So
Are you from defense, Hanif? Well, it seems like you absolutely mastered that.
Oh, that's very kind. No, but that's a principle across all of business, really, and industry, to say this is how this works, and I can go into the reasons for it, but
Yeah.
just for people listening, that's when we're using that terminology, that's how it works.
Absolutely nailed it. That's pretty much. And sometimes when the platforms, if I may, when I say platforms, these are different projects on a large scale, which are like programs, and they become a large platform as such. They also sometimes have a consortium of primes. So just not one prime, there's multiple primes, and then there's multiple SMEs and Tier 1s and Tier 2s. And as you said, there's a flow-down effect. So nationally, of course, we are certainly at the peak of the defense industry. Of the two states which are most busy at the moment are South Australia and WA. Queensland is equally important in New South Wales strategically as far as the positioning of the state as close to Canberra, where all the decisions are being made. So yeah, all states and territories work in like a team, making sure that the defense industry across the nation is fairly strong. And that's where bodies like AIDEN are very important to the defense industry, because although it's a national body, the focus is throughout all the states as well. In South Australia, there's, at the moment, we are busy with the Hunter-class frigate program, which is the 3 Hunter-class mine hunters, that's what they're called. And they are 100 plus meters long vessels being built in South Australia. BAE Systems, and again, it's a consortium of many primes, but it's being delivered by BAE Systems Maritime Australia. That's going to go on for a while. There is a potential for another 3 more ships, so a total of 6 ships, Hunter class. At the back end of that, of course, the AUKUS program for the nuclear submarines, and the general purpose frigates, which will be the next in line, which is, as you would be aware of, for your audience, the Japanese Mitsubishi Electrics has been, Heavy Industries has been successful, which will be building the general purpose frigates.
Are they building them here? Or are they building them in Japan?
The first 2 to 3 will be built out of Japan, with the following, it's a fleet of 11. Okay. And the rest of them will be built in WA and South Australia. So look, those high-level decisions are still to be defined. But yeah, to keep it simple, first 3 in Japan. And the reason behind that is speed to capability. When I say speed to capability, it's a decision, it's a strategic decision made by the federal government to accelerate naval defense platforms on proven designs. Mogami class is a proven design, and long story short, there were quite a few capable contenders in the game. And after quite a few years of tendering, the GPF, general purpose frigates, went ahead, and the decision was made that Mitsubishi Heavy Electrics was found the most successful. Mitsubishi Heavy Industries will be basically, when the ships are built in Australia, and the work has already begun, although they are coming out of an existing fleet of Mogami-class vessels overseas, there is concurrent work happening here to accelerate the program with the next fleet of GPFs, even marked for 2029 and so on. These are very complex, large vessels, and it does take time. In WA particularly, we are very, very busy with the, you may have heard of the Strategic Ship Agency Agreement of the West, which more recently happened between Austral Ships and the Commonwealth of Australia. That triggered a pipeline of imminent work coming through the door for 18 landing craft medium Navy/military platform. They are military vessels, they are army vessels funded by the Commonwealth of Australia for the army and overlooked by the National Shipbuilding and Sustainment Group called NSSG, which is a naval group. That will be built by Austral Ships out of Henderson, which is in WA. If you go down the coast all the way from Fremantle down to Coogee and beyond, there's a large shipbuilding industry there. And proud to say it's been very active and buzzing at the moment. And there's lots to come still.
Can I ask, how long does it take to build one of those ships?
Wow. Yeah, look, it's very subjective. A landing craft medium being a smaller vessel to the next platform, which is the landing craft heavy, which I'll touch base upon. You're looking at 14 to 18 months or maybe less. And it all comes down to resourcing and planning. And there's a production schedule in place and there are targets to be met. So the government and Austral Ships and all the players required to put that together will be working in tandem to achieve that. So 18 landing craft medium, which is a 10-year platform, 800 meter plus landing craft heavy, which is a 100 meter plus platform. We have the Guardian class platform, which got concluded, which delivered about 24 vessels to the Pacific Islands. That was a Commonwealth of Australia initiative through the Navy program. And then we have the ongoing sustained shipbuilding platform called the Evolved Cape class. It's a signature platform which has been going on for more than a decade plus, having delivered various number of ships for the Australian Border Force as well as the Royal Australian Navy. They are not weaponized vessels. They are patrol boats for border protection and also for the Royal Australian Navy for multipurpose works. So yeah, as you can see, 18 plus 8 plus 24 plus 25 and more Cape classes to come. So there is heaps and heaps of work. This is going to go decade plus, maybe 2 decades. And then we have the AUKUS program. The AUKUS program is also happening in the state of WA on a massive scale and south of Australia as well. 2027 should start the foundations for the AUKUS Pillar 1, which is the sustainment of the existing Virginia-class nuclear submarines, which will be visiting the, if I may, Garden Island of WA, which is HMS Sterling. While I rat-a-tat-tat about the maritime side in the water, one has to remember that there is a lot of infrastructure that is required for an upgrade and upkeep as far as looking after these complex naval platforms. So a lot of money has been invested by the federal and state governments in the HMS Sterling upgrade program. That's the Garden Island of WA. Other than that, in New South Wales, we have a lot of vessels visiting the Garden Island precinct of Woolloomooloo. And they are normally, used to be the FFGs, the frigates, which are now decommissioned. And they have been replaced by the air warfare destroyers, which is the Navantia solution and managed by BAE Systems. And those air warfare destroyers have been in commission for quite some time now. So they are the HMS Hobart vessels, And there's a lot of work all around. And of course, the RMP sustainment, which is the regional maintenance programs, which is across very many states. Cairns, Darwin, Northern Territory, WA, other parts of Queensland. Once the landing craft medium and heavy are delivered, they will also require sustainment. So as much as shipbuilding is important, sustainment of these ships is equally important.
So can I go back a step?
Sure.
So we talked about upgrading the infrastructure around Henderson and Garden Island in order to be able to service nuclear vessels. And I know a significant amount of money...
Nuclear capable.
Thank you.
Yes.
NCVs.
Yes. Nice one.
Thank you. I couldn't help myself.
Well, you are tempting me to go through all my acronyms now.
One day, okay, here's a challenge to you.
Sure.
Children of Defence. In the next podcast, I'd like you to come up with a very short rhyming song using all the acronyms you possibly can.
Wow. I would love that. I'll take that as a challenge.
Done.
Yeah.
Okay. Yeah, I might play a drum beat in the back. Where I was trying to go with that was to give people an understanding of how much has already been invested in the upgrade of the infrastructure and how much more, if you know, is yet to go, because it's an incredibly big deal to build infrastructure to do what we're about to do.
Look, I don't have a... There is, of course, a number, but I'm not privy to the exact number of how much has been invested, but I can say loosely, billions. There's an existing Defence Strategic Review paper. It's available to everyone as it's a government white paper. And part of that white paper is the AUKUS program, which itself is a large chunk of money. And the remaining is the subsurface fleet program. When I say subsurface, it's basically all the vessels above the water. And of course, the Air Force and the military play. So all put together, it's the white paper itself is more than a $150 billion white paper
Did you say
program.
150 million or billion?
Billion.
Billion, that's what I thought.
Yeah. Nothing happens in millions.
No, that's why I'm going, that won't even buy you a ship.
Yeah, exactly.
So the import of that,
Yes.
150 billion, that's money coming into the state.
That's a great way of looking at it. Absolutely.
So I just look at it economically.
100%.
And I certainly am a fan of Western Australia as a great place to live.
Count me in.
Yeah, it's a wonderful place. And we're incredibly fortunate on so many fronts. Defence is something we don't often talk about. Mm-hmm. But if you think about Western Australia's typically being known as a mining state, most of our revenue and profit comes from mining, and many of our jobs are often associated with it. Well, the country is spending $150 billion plus on defence in WA, in industry. So if you think about the flow on for jobs here, that's significant.
And that's just the white paper. So there's heaps more.
Yeah, and of course we build, then we have to maintain.
Absolutely.
That's the repair shop.
The government just more recently announced the $4.5 billion funding for the infrastructure as well as for the landing craft medium and the heavy platforms, which will be going ahead. So yeah, there's a lot happening. And the sustainment is very, very crucial. And as you see, the upskilling workforce, capability required for that, the knowledge, the lateral innovations that will be required, because as a country, what are we always lean on? Resourcing. Just to build the first new platform, landing craft medium, I'm given to believe there'll be a requirement of 1,100 warm bodies just to complete that platform. And it's imminent. We need them like yesterday. Mm. And the work has begun, of course. Not to mention that with the 1,100 bomb bodies comes their families. So there is a lateral side boom in real estate industry because everyone needs a place to live. And these are large platforms which are going to be going on for a long time. So yeah, it's very exciting times overall for the WA state. And majority of the subsurface fleet, or rather all of it, is being done in WA. So there's no two ways about it. Yeah.
Another thing that occurred to me is with the frigates that we've ordered, or that contract's been awarded to Mitsubishi, I think you said.
Yes.
I'm imagining the first three are being built in Japan because we need them quickly and we
Yes.
don't have the capability yet. We want to build the capability, but Mitsubishi will come over here and help train our people so we increase our capability. Is that the idea around it?
Look, I would like to I would like to rephrase that for you by saying we are well capable to build these ships even now on our own here. I'll dwell on the fact that I mentioned about the speed to capability, which is the acceleration of existing proven design platforms. It's not like we don't have the capability here to build those ships. We surely do not have the infrastructure ready yet.
Okay.
Right.
Yep.
So let's look at the gaps in the industry. Workforce availability, workforce capability, Australian industry capability, sovereign capability, and I'll break them down for you.
Yeah, please.
Good news is, Hanif, all of these are without acronyms yet. Yeah. And of course, not to mention, we have only so many uniforms and tickets available. So it's very important to have not only the acceleration of the program because of the geopolitical tensions, but we also need some sort of standardization. So the upskilled and skilled workforce, including Navy, Army officers, and the crew, can jump from one vessel onto the other. At the back end of this, and what's that space, is the joint connectivity between autonomy, energy transition, cybersecurity. Let's not forget all of that. I'm guilty as charged because I'm from the maritime industry, so I do wear a bit of blinkers as far as Navy is concerned. I just have to remind myself that that's also happening. What else is happening in Henderson is there's a lot of marine commercial work that has been going for decades plus. Let's not forget the Henderson precinct, which is being marked as the next naval maritime precinct of the country, if I may. Once Henderson precinct has been established, there are very many companies out there which potentially will be relocating or also upskilling themselves to do more defense work to stay relevant within the Henderson precinct. So again, coming back to the maritime industry, the final platform could potentially be based on autonomy. Because as we are short-staffed and as we need more people and we upskill the workforce, concurrently we will have to be intelligent enough to invest our knowledge and time and effort in innovation for the autonomous platforms. And when I say autonomous platforms, in lay terms, vessels which can kind of maneuver themselves, go out into the ocean, do what they need to do, support the other vessels. A very refined aspect of that at some stage would be these autonomous vessels going into a war-ready situation and fighting the war on their own. And that will happen. That will happen. I must say at some stage when we heard and talked about the speed at which energy transition is going, and that is when I say energy transition, the next future fuel cells, and it never came to my mind that in the maritime industry we would see that coming that soon, because everything in marine happens a little slowly, because at the end of the day we are taking a complex moving object into the water. It's one thing to have a fully electric car and having range anxiety and going from one spot to the other and still finding out. I think it's getting better and better and better. Every second car is a Tesla, or every second car is a BYD, or the other models, if I may. In saying that, even on the road, the range anxiety does exist. Me as a mariner, I can only imagine the stress that an operator or a mariner can have if you don't have the capability
you're
of
out
going.
at sea, you need 100% reliability
Exactly.
and backup, right?
Exactly.
That's that simple.
Yeah. So,
you can't pull into a service station and go, hey, can you fix my boat?
Absolutely. Absolutely. That's absolutely not possible. And look, it's happening. It's happening rampantly, and it's happening more in the marine commercial world. And look, it's even happening on a fully electric scale. We have a large marine commercial business in Tasmania, and we are very proud that it's happening in Australia. And they have already launched a full-blown fast ferry for one of the world markets, and it's been commissioned, and they are embarking on the next and the next. In saying that, majority of shipbuilders and boat builders will be treading carefully, where hybridization will be the focus. So mix and match of the two, old
That
and new.
makes sense. You need redundancy.
Exactly. And in maritime more than ever. So it all comes down to the application. And coming back to Caterpillar, the OEM for who I represent, Caterpillar is fairly future energy cell agnostic. We are understanding the market. We are listening to the customers. We are understanding the pain points of what the customer wants, what the market wants, what the industry wants. And every country has its own requirements. So look, it's a subject of its own. We might get a little digressed, but where I wanted to dwell on energy transition is there is a lot of support vessels which will be also built in the Navy. There's a lot of support infrastructure. I would like to mention this and encourage the industry to keep an open mind and keep the lateral thinking cap on as to how you can benefit from energy transition and increase your ESG credentials. And it's happening now as well. And I'm proud to say quite a few people are already considering it, where if you're putting temporary power requirements when a vessel comes on shore, there is no reason why it cannot be a hybrid or a clean energy battery storage kind of a system. If it is a support vessel and it's in fixed run, quick on charter, off charter, and it's more so not weaponized, and it's just supporting the other vessels, there is a potential for hybrid there as well. So I'll leave it at that.
Yeah, and can I offer maybe a framing of it?
Sure.
Is to say, rather than the benefits of credentialing, I'm a bit anti-establishment. So, damn credentialing.
Yeah.
How about the benefits of the outcomes?
Let's put it this way.
The outcomes are real. There are discrete benefits in the outcomes if you take the time to look at it.
100%.
And the credentials will come off that anyway. So if you want credentials, get them. Good for you.
Yeah.
But there is actually a data-driven outcome. And if you look closely, you can go, that's got some value.
Let me bring in some fun into this podcast.
What is it, not fun already?
Well, I hope your audience is enjoying that. I'm happy to hear that. Look, with every greater good that comes out of things like energy transition, anything that is new comes with the fear of the unknown. businesses will not put in their money blindly and their time and their effort if it's not bang for the buck, right? So I do believe that any voluntary work or greater good work starts with a personal KPI. So it's very important to give that carrot. And that's where I talk about the ESG credentials. And if we are able to focus on the greater good because it needs to be done, which is brilliant, but at the same time empower the business and the larger primes in saying, look, there are so many benefits and you do need a business case to demonstrate.
Yeah, I think you need both in tandem.
Exactly. Yeah.
Because the real drivers are the people, the
Yeah.
doers, and the doing people of the world are driven by outcome.
Absolutely. Yeah.
Yeah.
It's a balancing act.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So I'm going to take you back now because you
Yeah.
started a conversation which was very interesting and important. You were talking about the gaps.
Right.
You were
Yes.
talking about, and you said you'd unpack them, so I'm going to hold you to that. Resources, that's human resources, was one of them.
Yep.
You used another term, but that's
Yep.
essentially what it was. You're going to have to help me with the other three. But
Yep.
I tagged it in my mind.
Yeah, absolutely. So we have workforce, expertise, so capability, AIC, which is the Australian industry capability, not content. And at the back end of the AIC, what happens is you slowly but steadily build sovereign capability. And what is sovereign capability as such? People use this term fairly loosely. It's very important as far as defense is concerned. When you're building a naval platform or an army or air force platform, and if it's happening even using overseas major equipment, you will appreciate there is only so much that we can manufacture from a major equipment perspective. And I'm actually part of that dynamics. I represent an OEM where the heart of the vessel, if I may, the main engines and the generators are built overseas. They're sourced from overseas. But what happens after that? It's not like you just take that piece of equipment and just apply it to the prime and your job is done. No, there's a lot of complexity behind that. Say that main engine or a generator arrives at our workshop in Australia, and there's a lot of knowledge bank with the level of 40 years and 15 years and 20 years within our team, which jumps onto that, utilizing a sub-supplier workforce of 30-odd Australian small to mid-tier businesses, sourcing very many parts, putting it together using Australian workforce knowledge and capability. So what happens when new platforms generate? You create more requirements. You need more resourcing. The knowledge and the capability within the group then empowers to bring in more resources and trains them up. You upskill them. You make them capable. That's capability, right? So that's called advancing your sovereign capability, where you are an integral part of that platform. And that I will go back to what I said. When you're serving the defense industry and you're part of the defense industry, you are very much part of the fabric where you're doing something very niche and you're doing something very important. And that knowledge and capability is coming from that individual or that person or that organization. We need to nurture that. We need to secure that. We need to make sure that is protected and it's available for the future generations to come. With more and more work coming through the door, we will be able to tap into that and create more workforce, which is more capable, allowing the existing knowledge bank within the organizations to then do lateral innovation, right? And the cycle continues. Because the intellectual property of a complex, large shipbuilding platform or for any defense platform, it's a very secure IP. And if you're part of an integral package of a large vessel, just take the example of the main engines, generators, and the full turnkey solution that we provide. That is the IP that you are protecting and nurturing, and it's a part of the continuous improvement cycle along with the shipbuilder, right? So it's not like, hey, I want to build a Cape class or I want to build a landing craft medium and can you just pass me the drawings? That's not how it works, right? So that's sovereign capability. You need to protect that. That's where cybersecurity comes in. That's where the let's dwell upon a little bit on the DISP. Here you go, one more acronym for you, Hanif. That is the Defense Industry Security Program. And we have embarked on a journey of DISP where there is no DISP, there is no defense work. So everybody within the industry will need to have a DISP.
It's a security clearance of sorts.
It's a security accreditation, if I may. And it has very many levels. Not everyone needs that level of security clearance. So if you're dealing with the nuclear sub or if you're working on the nuclear sub, you'll potentially need the highest security clearance. If you're working on a subsurface fleet and you're physically working, then you come to the next level. Then if you're just behind the desk and managing the IP, you will need another a level of security. And if you're just supplying equipment or just providing very high-level services, which is directly to the prime, but not actually physically on board the vessel, again, a different level of clearances. So, look, it's all of this. If you unpack it and look at it holistically, that's a lot of knowledge bank, isn't it? Huge, yeah. And sitting here while I rat-a-tat all of this, it sounds second nature to me, but people outside have started saying that, and I'll come back to that point where you mentioned about everyone thinks that WA is a mining state as such, and yeah, rightly so. It's been we are the engine room of the nation as far as mining is concerned, and it's even today it's very strong. But that came through a lot of visibility, right? That's what's happening right now. People are waking up to that in the defense side of the business, and that's where bodies like Aiden, Henderson Alliance, Defence West, Audits play a very critical part as far as creating that visibility and also advocating for building up the sovereign capability, Australian industry capability, and the workforce of the future. Mm. Yeah. I hope that answers some of your questions.
I think some of it. I think there's some gaps still there to explore, because from an industry perspective, whenever I approach defence and listen to what's going on, it occurs to me that there's still a gap in the smaller SME space. There's probably a lot more we could contribute. It's an increase in business, really, that we don't. Some of it's through ignorance, so we just don't know it's there.
Very true.
Some of it's through, I think, lack of planning. Defence is, I agree, defence is a space that you need to plan for. You don't just get a contract. You need to understand it. You need to understand what the requirements of that beast are, including security, including your processes, because that work's locked down, isn't it?
Absolutely. Look, brilliant, well said, and I'll leverage on that and provide you some more information on what's the difference between, as such, yes, we are a business, and the defense industry is part of the larger business model, but how are we different from mining or oil and gas or any other sources of business? Yes, the dollar value is important. However, safety, security, bringing our people back to their families safely is quintessential, non-negotiable. Making sure that our workforce protecting our nation is war-ready, well-equipped, capable. It's not something that can be taken lightly, right? So, although there is a fair go and equal opportunity and a mechanism for let's find the best pricing and the best value for money solution, when you have a solution where you can actually create value, rather than add value. And it's very important to understand that creating value and adding value are two different
Tell
things.
us the nuance.
Adding value is basically you're bringing your skill set and knowledge and capability on something that is already existing, right? Innovation particularly is creating value. So in a shipbuilding program or a naval platform or any of the defense programs, which go on for so many years, there's a continuous improvement and development cycle. If you were an SME who can create value by saying, hey, you've been doing this for so many years, just like this. If you consider this, and I can improve the timing, the effort, the upskilling and whatnots, the efficiency, the government will listen. And that dollar value suddenly becomes immaterial. That's not always the case in the commercial world, is it?
No. They talk about it, but they do less of it than they talk about.
Yeah. And you're dead right as far as if we go back to the ESG credentials, it's more applicable in the commercial side of the world, not so much in the defense side of the world, because sometimes you just have to do it because you have to do it. And if it's a platform which is expensive, then so be it. But we have to make sure that we are providing the best.
I think your key drivers are different.
Yes.
And we need to understand what those key drivers are.
Yeah. The drivers per se would be, at this point in time where everything is required to be done like yesterday, space, resourcing, workforce, the planning portion of it, and improvements in efficiency. Then comes the dollar value. Dollar is important, don't get me wrong. You just can't start a platform if there is no value proposition. The driver as such from an industry perspective is collaboration at this stage. Collaboration is key. And when I say collaboration, for SMEs to be playing strongly in this environment and setting themselves up for success and standing out in the crowd while managing all the hardest requirements of the JOSCAR and the DISP and the ITARs and the NDAs. There you go. I threw in some. I'm not going to dwell on all the acronyms and break them up for you.
They were going to come. Well, you were holding back. You were holding back.
So I'll keep going on the fun. To be part of the SSA shipbuilding agreement and the LCMs and the LCHs and the AWDs and the hunter classes and the frigates, you basically need to not only be defense ready, one, but you need to be visible, you need to be available, you need to be an SME that the primes and the industry can trust. The approach to be taken is genuinity, and then comes the collaboration. So be visible, be genuine, believe in the cause, join the team for the greater good, for the collaboration, and it's very important to gain the trust of the prime, because another difference is it's not like you bring in the best value for money proposition and you got the job. If there is no trust and you can't deliver on time, then there is that's another
reliability, isn't it?
Yeah, that's another issue. And you can look. You can make a power station weight. You can make a mining town weight. You can make an oil and gas platform weight. Maximum, what will happen? People will still be safe. The project will be delayed. There'll be a lot of collateral damage as far as finance, goodwill, reputation. If you are continuously delayed in a defense platform, what happens? It affects war readiness. It compromises safety and security. It causes issues with our people not being ready when they need to be ready and coming back safe to their families. So we are not only dealing with complex equipment and machinery, but we are dealing with life here. So we better be on the ball with that.
Yeah, you take it very seriously.
Yeah.
They are the key drivers, actually, aren't they?
And that is the reason why people need to understand that, yes, there is an element of bureaucracy, but that is also one of the reasons where there's a lot of thinking that goes behind the scenes and a lot of hard work and long nights taken at a ministerial level to sort of unpack all of that and make a decision for the country.
Mm. So if you're an SME taking all of that on board, my perspective on that is it's worthwhile getting involved in, because you can add value into an ecosystem that values it and will pay for it. They're not going to be ridiculous. You've got to be competitive, but they'll pay for it. You know who the end customer is. They're going to pay the bills, so the security of payments there, very important in SME world. But it's not overnight.
No.
You have to be defence ready. We won't go into what that means, but there's security clearances. There's a whole bunch of things you need to do. So if you're serious about getting into that industry, start planning for it.
Yeah.
The tap's not going to turn on tomorrow.
Yeah.
Even if you have something innovative that will add value, it will not turn on tomorrow. So be aware you need to invest up front and be patient. Work through the system. It's there for a reason. Once you're in, provided you perform and you're reliable, blah, 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 you're going to be there for a long time. It's a very good backbone for a business to have.
Absolutely.
Would that be accurate?
Oh, you kind of simplified and nailed it. I couldn't have said it better. One more thing, a word of caution for the SME keen to join defense is don't put your eggs in one basket. Defense is not an industry that you want to be doing, unless you're a large corporate, which is absolutely niche, being successful in defense for years and years and years and years, and that's your forte, then that's a different thing. And that's what you do is sustain, defend, and grow. Mm. That's a terminology we use in our world, where I do a business case, where I'm sustaining, defending, and growing an existing platform.
Do you ever use the acronym SDAG?
Well, I'm learning quite a few new acronyms from you, so I'll take that one on board. Good one, Hanif. Yeah. But yeah, look, for an SME, it's very important to put food on the table, to keep their people employed while they are planning and preparing and being visible and innovating and creating a platform. And proud to say there are very many people doing that. But at the same time, if somebody hits me up from an Aiden perspective and says, hey, I would like to have a coffee and want to talk about defense readiness and entering the defense industry and what is it all about. So, yeah, I would dwell on all the other aspects that we talked about, how busy we are and what we do and how we do and what's to come and decades of work. But eyes wide open, I'll say, please make sure that you're just not doing defense as the only source of income earning, because that's not what you are in the defense industry for. Even now, as a tier 1 SME, take this in, energy power systems using Caterpillar equipment, doing large turnkey solutions has delivered 24 plus 25 and another 7 on the order, imminent, embarking on another 100 meters, hopefully very soon, 8 off, and a continuous shipbuilding platform which will go on for decades, that still forms 10 to 15% of my business model for the entirety of the organization. If you sit back and just look at it from a corporate perspective, that looks like, oh, that's quite small. We need to grow that. Yes, sure. First, we need to sustain that. And there you go, the growth's coming. I can see it. We've already grown, but we want more and more and more. And that's fine. That's human nature. But when you're starting off, that's not what you do. And if I can again give an example how blessed I am in the industry that I work. Defense is not only what we do. When I, even today when I walk into a room, and that's where my journey with creating more visibility for naval maritime particularly started for my own organization was, I go and introduce somebody, hey, I'm Fred, I'm representing defense for Caterpillar and Aiden and this and that. Oh, how's mining doing? How many excavators are you selling? How's the infrastructure business? How's construction going? Yeah, sure. Did you know we have done 63 patrol boats over the last decade plus in the naval platform for the Australian defense? And the jaw drops down and says, my goodness, I didn't even know that. So there you go. It's visibility, but at the same time, I can do that because there are other applications supporting the business. Power generation, mining, oil and gas, rail, agriculture, construction, energy transition. Yeah. So all of this is happening at my organization. And if a person entering in defense for the first time is smart, he's done his homework in making sure that he's already busy and active, adding value to his business and growing his business in other applications while trying to create value and entering defense.
It's a diversification piece, isn't it? You can't have all your eggs in one basket. Yeah. And I'll say this because I've seen it in defence through my clients. Contracts get delayed.
Oh, heaps. They get cancelled.
Yeah. So there is a balance here to say, is it a good space to play in if you're a good fit? Absolutely. And be aware, contracts get cancelled, delayed. So just because this work is starting in March doesn't mean it'll start in March.
Oh, no. It could be next March.
yeah, and that's real, isn't it?
Yeah, absolutely.
There are so many moving parts in 100%. That industry. Yep. You can't afford to rely on it.
The good news is, if it's an imminent platform, it will start. And you need patience to hang in there. How will you hang in there? By diversifying. Yeah,
and you will get paid. The end customer is good, and they're good for it.
Absolutely.
They've got the money. They'll pay you.
Yep.
But don't rely on the start date. Don't let that be the centerpiece of your income because it could kill you.
Oh, well, couldn't have said it any better, Hanif. No, spot on.
All right. Is there anything you want to add before we wrap that up around defence in Australia? Is there anything you would love to share?
If there was a message to give the industry on the whole, existing and the ones that are joining in, be proud of what you do. Do it because it matters. Just don't do it for financial gain or success. And do it correctly. It's very important because we are working for the nation. We are doing. It's as noble a job serving the defense industry as saving a life in a hospital, right? You are trying to save a life before it can be taken. Think through what you're doing. Think through why you're doing. And think through, do you really want to do it for the right reasons? It's not about being in the industry for the sake of being in the industry. You are continuously creating value, adding value to the existing things, but creating value as we improve the efficiencies of the programs. But the end goal is saving a life. The end goal is making sure our country is safe. The end goal is security and safety of the people who we as I say, non-uniform defense personnel are equally responsible for protecting the nation and the people who are trying to protect our nation. I'll leave it at that.
Thanks, Fred. That's a wonderful ending message.
Thanks.
We'll catch up and lock you in to talk energy transition because that's a big topic and I'm incredibly interested.
It would be my pleasure, Hanif.
Thanks.
Thank you for having me.
Yeah, you're welcome. Thanks.
Cheers. Thanks.